Oh, I love that intro.
What's up?
What's going on, man?
How's it going, fellas?
You guys in a bit.
All right, here we go. Another episode, season 2. For a reminder, in case anyone's fucking and just got out of a coma or something.
The 15 listeners.
Yep, 15 listeners, and we're growing every year.
This is for you.
Exactly.
If we get one loyal listener per year, that means by the time we're 100, we'll have 100 listeners.
Yeah. I'm looking at one a week. If we could do one a week, 52 a year, I'm happy.
Yeah, all right. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little bit more optimistic. I think we're the shit.
Yeah. So what's going on, Jack? How's it going?
Hey, man, palm trees and sunshine, as always.
Palm trees and sunshine. Victor?
Hanging in there. Another day in the life of the pandemic.
There you go. Double mask it, right?
Day 300 and da-da-da.
That's the new rule. That's the new rule. We went from no mask, Dr. Fauci over here. Nah, you don't need a mask. All right, you need one.
Yeah, Biden wears two. So
yeah, now we zoom.
He can't fly, so it's good.
We zoom in, and now everyone's like, the doctor goes, yeah, 2 is gonna actually work. You know what I'm saying? Get out of here.
2.
Yeah.
I can't with these masks.
They're gonna add a mask tax, by the way.
Are they?
Yeah, for the production of masks.
Nice. Jack, weren't you telling me something with the shopping?
Yeah. No, not for nothing, but okay. So we all wear masks, and they tell you straight up, it's not to protect you, it's to protect everybody else, right? Like that's the message that they were trying to send, that you're doing something that's selfless. You're doing it for others because there's older people and people that have weak immune systems that just can't handle the virus, right? So I'm walking around a grocery store with my mask on, fucking up my beard for all these other people that I've never met nor care about, right?
That's wrong.
And I don't care. I'm doing my thing. I'm doing, I can have my thoughts.
No, of course.
But I'm doing the right thing.
It's the UnFollow show, so you know.
Right. So I have my mask on and I see 2, 3, 4 people, got to be over 70 years old, their mask half down.
Hey, pick your mask up.
Hey, not for nothing, but I'm over here wearing this shit for you. And you're walking around with half a mask on. Like, just don't wear one. Can we all just agree to not wear one? And then whoever wants to fucking catch it, catches it. Please, this is annoying.
Well, it's your contribution to society, right?
Put it this way. As long as you're doing the right thing, right? I guess you could look at it as, I know.
Yeah.
That's like a crackhead. You're looking at a crackhead. You're like, oh, don't. What are you doing? Stop doing crack. But,
Yeah. All right, look. I wouldn't mind, except, some of these people walking around with they survived in Vietnam. You know what I mean? Like these guys that have been through some shit. And I'm not going to tell them how to live their life. They're obviously doing something right to have survived that long. But God damn it, man, I'm doing this for you.
Listen, how I can see it is, look, I'm a smoker. I think it's like people, like when are you going to stop smoking? When are you going to? It's like after a while, it's just whatever. So I guess after a while, the mask comes down a little.
I'm so glad I kicked that. I'm sorry I gave that to you.
Yeah, actually,
I was in the store one day and someone, this lady was walking by and was pissed that she didn't have a mask on. I think she looked at me and realized, and then she started shaking her head and then digging through her bag.
Really?
I was like, you go, girl.
Good for her. That means
I burst out laughing. So that visor that you're supposed to wear, but the clear one?
I like the visor.
Yeah, but you have to wear that with a mask. I saw someone that had an upside down one that went around his chin and the plastic went up. And it just covered his mouth. So
bet you that guy don't have COVID.
We still have people like that walking around.
Well, there's people around who said COVID wasn't real and they got COVID, and I know them very well. Friends of mine, who are very against COVID.
I don't think COVID's not. I think it's just another strain of the flu.
They got it.
Yeah. This year we didn't hear nothing about the flu. We heard more about the COVID. That's all it is.
Well, when you can't breathe, it's real.
Anyways, like I was saying about cigarettes, this fucking kid, Jack, is the reason why I still smoke today, because I was a poor, innocent kid.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And I remember we went to, what was the pool billiards on Grand? What was it called? La Q?
La Q?
Yeah, we went to La Q, and this kid, he was 18 before everyone, but no, we were younger. I don't know. He ended up getting cigarettes. What was our first pack? Salem's? Green?
Salem's, yeah.
Yeah, this kid buys a pack, and, we're having a cigarette, we're trying to act like the older guys, we're only, 16, maybe 15 at the time, and we're smoking, and then it comes to the point where it's like, all right, so we're walking home, because back then we didn't have cars and we didn't have money to call fucking 4-1s cabs all the time.
Yeah.
How much is to get from here 3 blocks away? I don't know, $30. Okay, yeah, we'll just walk.
Yeah. 4 2s. This is Stu. Where are you?
Yeah, 4 2s. This is Stu. Where are you?
That was before the Uber days.
Yeah.
How much is to get? I need to know where you're at.
Yeah.
They were always mean. Now Uber took over. Those guys are done.
Dude, you'll never.
They're not. They're still around.
Are they?
They're like gypsy cabs, though.
Well, for like the older ladies that don't know, that don't even know what a fucking iPhone is.
Yeah, basically.
You gotta feel bad though. Like the next generation will never experience that.
Yeah,
when you're fucked out in the middle of
You know
nowhere.
what they won't experience? Yeah, let me get a cab to the city. All right, 45 minutes. Like, what? Uber's 2 minutes. What are you talking about?
No. The best was Phoenix cabs. 7 minutes. Every time no matter where you were in the world, it'd be 7 minutes.
So they were onto something.
You could be on fucking Mars.
Wait, I'm in Djibouti.
Yeah.
7 minutes, boss. 7 minutes.
Yeah, 7 minutes.
And they would be there in 7 minutes.
Oh man.
Yeah, so like I was saying, so we're smoking, we're on our way back, and we just bought the pack. What do we smoke, 2 or 3 each? Now we're by Juniper Park. For those that know, it's a park in Middle Village, Queens, and we're in there, we're chilling, we're having cigarettes, getting late to the point where we have already 12 missed calls from mom and dad or whatever, older brothers, and I'm like, all right, so I'll see you tomorrow. And Jack goes, but wait, what are we gonna do with the pack? I can't bring it home. They'll break my head. And I'm like, I can't bring it home. I'll get my head broken. So we decided to just smoke fucking the remaining 15 cigarettes in under 10 minutes. So you never know. I might be superhuman, man. You never know. Maybe cigarettes are not affecting me at all, because I go to the doctor. I get checked. Actually, I got a doctor's appointment in April. And every time I go in there, he goes, oh my God, your vitals are amazing. He goes, that's crazy. I'm like, yeah, I smoke, right? He goes, really? I'm like, yeah, I smoke. He goes, oh, wow. I wouldn't have never guessed.
Yeah. Yo, that time runs out. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I know.
You're not forever going to be healthy like that. You keep that shit up. You got to stop.
Well, what am I going to do? It's my only habit.
But
Drinking, I don't really drink. I'm not a drinker, but I'll, if you told me, hey, I'll give you $1,000 a week not to drink, I'll be like, all right, no problem. You tell me, I'll give you $1,000.
You would do it for $1,000 a week to quit smoking?
I don't know if I could. I think I could. I think
you just need motivation to do it.
Choo-choo. Yeah, you know what? It's more than just smoking. People, it's more of a stress. It is a stress reliever, and it's just a way of life. It's like almost having an espresso after a large meal.
Yeah, that's mental, because it's not really a stress reliever.
It is.
It increases your heart
100%.
rate.
Yeah, that's
it's
what
like
I
an
need.
upper.
I like to increase my heart rate.
I mean, I smoke the Juul though.
How's that working?
4 years.
How's the Juul? I mean, I think it's the same difference.
As soon as I picked up the Juul, never looked at a cigarette, minus the combustion and the carbon.
No popcorn lung, as they say.
I mean, I don't know. I think it's a little arguable.
Yeah, so we got a Juul
I'm sure
smoker.
if you work in a factory, the amount of fumes per, say, square inch are definitely be a lot more dense than me smoking this thing, right? So yeah, when they're making it, popcorn lung. But popcorn lung is being made from popcorn. That's why it's called popcorn lung. It was from the artificial flavoring in popcorn that was released into the air.
That's weird.
The factories. So,
but I mean, we all have habits we can't break. I mean, for me, I'm going to say smoking. Jack, you have any habits you can't break?
Well,
I know you like to fucking touch things. This kid, dude, every week.
Well, okay, so that's not something I like doing. I just always, I just,
it's like a
I
fetish.
see something and I got to fix. I fix a lot of stuff that's not broken. Put it that way.
Yeah, it's so light. Like Victor, before you got on, Jack's doing his lighting, all this and that, and I'm like, all right, looks good, looks perfect. We go for a 10-minute break where I'm going to have a cigarette and a shot of espresso. I come back, oh, it's too bright, it's too this, the mic is not looking good, the mic's not this, he's touching, changing. One day, I'm telling you, your mic's gonna break. And we're gonna
go get another. You can't hate on meticulate.
Yeah, but every week I haven't changed anything. I feel like I'm in a fucking Russian prison. I have 4 walls,
that's what
my
it looks
computer.
Like.
Yeah, well, that's why I put the background here. I don't have a studio. Yeah, I'm working on it.
Hey,
I have a wall and I have one medal.
And you have a map behind you. Where's that lead to?
That's the map of New York in 1915.
You're not going to frame it?
That's actually pretty interesting.
It's wood.
Oh, it's a wood map?
Yeah, I love like the historic, to look at.
Is it
things
like
as they
paper
were
stained on wood?
No, it's like
burnt.
I don't know. Yeah, it's on there.
It's on there.
It's
Alright.
just
So it's
they
not
put it through a
creasing.
wood printer and
one
fucking
metal that
printed it. No, I mean, you got to see it. The difference is there, though. I mean, I put in the work, right? It's worth it.
No,
opinion.
I mean, it's beautiful. I just don't like.
as long
like,
as you're comfortable.
You're fine
I'm
now.
comfortable.
By next week's episode, it's like
It'd be a little different.
Rearrange, like you have like a chemical imbalance or something.
I have a tick, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's OCD.
But how about this? Have this tick. Have a backup mic, a backup headphones in case when you do snip or touch things and something breaks, you could at least say, hey, you know, I got things to back it up with. Because
when
this guy
Astro
took
wants to
pliers
sponsor
to
us,
his
I'll get
fucking
one of
mic
those.
before. I was wondering what the fuck he's doing. I thought you had scissors. I thought you were trying to cut like a tie wrap. I thought you were gonna cut the main wires, the audio.
No, I was just tightening the mic harness. But nah, you shouldn't really worry about that, man. You know, I always got things covered. I come through.
I hope.
Always.
Remember smoking? There's always like those, you know. There's always the guy who never buys cigarettes. There's always the guy who, as soon as who packs for 20 minutes. There's always the guy that flips the first cigarette. There's the idiot that never inhales that calls himself the smoker.
The lucky. You gotta flip the lucky, bro.
What the fuck is lucky about it? You know what that is? That's the
never really
cigarette
did
when you
that.
have 3 left. So you have 2 and a lucky. He's like, well, you know, I only got 2 left in my lucky cigarette, so I can't really give it to you.
Yeah, people are really stingy with cigarettes.
Especially that lucky cigarette.
Yes.
And I don't know if anybody's ever really figured out the origins of it. So I just looked it up. So the lucky cigarette, smoking cigarettes has been a popular pastime among troops since the very first line formed at the armory. The last cigarette is referred to as the lucky cigarette, and it is considered to be bad luck to smoke it before the others in the pack. So it's got nothing to do with handing it out.
Well, if
it's
you hand it out, you can't smoke it.
Yeah. But it has to be the last cigarette smoked.
It has to be the last cigarette. You can't smoke the lucky. And let me see. Something to do with Lucky Strike, World War II. This is cool. I want to bring this up for Veterans Day if we're doing an episode.
Do they still give cigarettes out in the military?
No, but they are fucking, what are they, tax-free, right? At the max.
Yeah, they're tax-free on the base. But you know what's funny? They don't hand out cigarettes, but if you get an MRE, sometimes they come with matches. So figure that one. I wish if they handed out cigarettes
isn't
in the
MRE
military.
like survival?
It's a meal ready to eat, right? That's what MRE stands for.
Yeah.
And if you need a flame,
they're good. Hey,
sense.
listen, if you can buy them and store them, you could store them for years. Like, God forbid,
dude,
hurricane something.
I am so glad that you brought that up because I am like super ready to start doomsday prepping.
You seem like
I just watched a movie where there's like a comet strike,
Really?
and I'm watching these people. I'm like, they got nothing. They're ready for nothing, and I'm like, what's wrong with doomsday prepping? Is the idea crazy that I'm spending money on preparing?
Not at all.
What's crazy about that idea?
Not at all. Just make sure, like I always
cheap.
say, don't buy something cheap. Buy something that's gonna last for a long time.
I just need something that I can pick up a bag and run. And everything I would need to survive for at least 2 weeks is in that bag.
Yeah.
And you're hoping to survive a comet with a backpack? I'm confused.
Hey, he's
if I can get to a place to survive with the comet, at least I have what I need when I'm there. Because listen,
Jack, you don't have no
surviving
one
the
waiting in
elements
the
is one
room?
thing.
Hey, hold on. Jack, you don't have no one waiting
No
in the
one's
room?
waiting.
All right. So
We just got somebody. All right.
here we go.
cool.
I was gonna say, scared me. All right, so give him a minute, let him read. So we got our next guest coming in. We'll have a proper introduction. We're gonna take this time to
course.
mic up and get ready to roll. So we'll be right back. This is UnFollowVic Podcast.
Thank you for listening to the UnFollowVic podcast. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at UnFollowVic. Bye-bye.
I'm Adam Realman, your special guest today on the UnFollowVic podcast.
In an age of instant gratification and streaming entertainment, there are still some performers dedicated to captivating audiences, as was done before the digital age. Upholding and celebrating the rich and vibrant history and culture of the sideshow, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, it is our great pleasure to welcome you to the UnFollowVic podcast, the master of ceremonies, the dean and professor, Coney Island Strongman, the one, the only, Mr. Adam Realman.
Yo, thank you very much. Wow, that was quite the introduction there.
You deserve
like it?
I did. That was, I may need you to just come around with me anytime I walk into a room. Just stay.
Yeah, there you go. We'll be your MC.
If you don't mind. There's not a whole lot going on right now, so you'd have a pretty easy job. Once COVID's over, I hope things get busy.
I hope.
We all hope.
It's like a 24/7 90s trailer commentary.
Right?
Adam, tell me about the beard before we start, because
Oh,
my
man,
future
what a
goal,
wonderful-
everyone knows my future goal is to get a beard, but I don't think that's going to happen once I'm served divorce papers, but that's a plan in my...
All right. Well, I had a nice trim beard, nice trim with, I did a really good dye job on it. And COVID hit. I haven't shaved since March. So it's I got no reason to it. I'm on podcasts. I'm on Zoom shows.
I love it.
What am I going to tell you? When I get back on stage is when, the beard's going to get trimmed and dyed again, make it look nice and neat. But for now, what am I going to tell you?
Yeah.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
The truth is, I am curious to see just how long it's, because eventually it will hit terminal length and it will stop growing. But
Absolutely.
I'm curious to see when that's going to be. I do trim the mustache, though.
You have to, yeah.
Because when you're wearing those face masks and the mustache starts curling into your mouth.
Oh, boy.
And you constantly spit it. It's awful. Trying to get the air out of the mouth. It's impossible.
Not only that, but eating, blowing your nose, I found when I had a beard, blowing my nose was the worst, because I always felt like something was there.
Yeah.
And I always had, and what not like all women, but I don't carry a mirror in my back pocket, so it's kind of hard to be like, oh, what the fuck do I have on my face?
I do, but that's because I stay gorgeous.
Yes, so do I.
All right, so oh, by the way, how did you come up with Adam the first real man? Like, I have a theory behind it. I'm gonna say it has something to do with the Adam and Eve, but I want to hear.
Oh, this guy's all right. Yeah, all right. So actually, no, it was a friend of mine who came up with it. And yes, it was, you drinking beer?
I am drinking Mickers bourbon.
Oh, all right.
Oh, Victor is drinking the beer, yeah. You can have a beer. You want to go get a beer, go ahead.
I probably should get a shot, but I'm not going to interrupt this interview here. To pause for myself, just think about myself and make everybody wait till I get a shot. But all right, that I'll wait until you talk and then I'll sneak out. No.
Yeah. No, for real.
Be comfortable. Don't worry about it.
No, we're all good. All
right.
Adam. So yeah, it originally started as Adam the First Real Man, and yes, it was a reference to Adam and Eve. A friend of mine, Dave, out in North Carolina, he used to when I was doing this stuff, you're the first real man, because I'm doing all these crazy feats and stuff. And it just kind of stuck. And I'm like, all right, I'll call myself Adam, the first real man. And I suppose I think I really kind of made the switch over to just Adam Real Man when Facebook wouldn't allow me to do the first real man. And I just did real man, and that was it. It just kind of stuck from there.
Yeah, but I like it. I mean, I like the backstory.
That's it's
offensive to genders.
Origin story.
Yeah.
So,
growing up, you grew up in Coney Island, and I know you grew up during the earlier years, during your teenage years. How was life growing up in Coney Island? Was there like drug and gang activity and stuff like that?
None for me, but there was plenty around. I mean, I grew up in closer to Brighton Beach, closer right off of Ocean Parkway.
Okay.
So, the zip code was 11224, was Coney Island, but, it was closer to Brighton Beach. I wasn't, deep within Coney Island. But growing up in the 70s and 80s, it wasn't like it is there today. I mean, it's, in the mid to late 90s already, things started cleaning up a bit. And they've just been on for lack of a better phrase, like a gentrification boom at this point, where, if you go out there today and look at what's going on, the amount of construction on Surf Avenue, and then come back in 3 to 5 years from now, you won't even recognize the place because there's even more construction that's coming up.
Is that like a good thing for the Coney Island, or is that like, come on, what do we?
Gentrification is never a good thing.
I have to agree with that. For the natives, it's not a good thing because, all right, granted, the residential part of Coney Island, when you go, just west of the amusements, it's still a fairly rough area. It's still a pretty rough area. But what's going to happen when they put up market rate buildings? Now they already put up a luxury tower on the westernmost point of Coney Island, all the way down Surf Avenue.
Is that by Seagate?
That's right outside of Seagate.
Yeah.
I mean, literally walk out of the gate and there's 2 gigantic luxury towers. From what I understand, they're mostly empty.
Seagate's very interesting.
There's a number of reasons. I mean, you can't get the train's over a mile away. How are you getting to the train?
Yeah.
It's you got to go through a pretty rough area in order to get to the train. Who wants to do that? If you don't have a car. So we're still on here. I think we're still on.
Yeah, I'm on.
Okay, my screen just zapped, but I think we're okay.
No, you're fine.
That'll be edited out, I guess. So
it brings character. I like it. It brings character.
I like things when they flow and something just popped, but we're all good now.
Oh.
So when I was growing up there, it was a rough neighborhood. Luckily, I never had any problems.
That's good.
But I would go into Coney Island alone and with friends, and I'd stick to the boardwalk. I would stick to the amusements and the boardwalk, walk on the beach, and luckily, I never had an issue.
Yeah. So what was a normal day growing up?
Normal day growing up is I'd go to school and I'd come home and I'd be like a veal listening to Kiss records in the house.
Well, you're definitely into that music. We'll get on to that. But actually doing some of my homework and just hunting for stuff, I seen a picture on one of your Instagrams, and it's your father who was a Vietnam veteran, and there's a picture with him with Martha Ray. Yeah. I mean, could you tell me a little bit behind that? Because Jack and I are both veterans, and it's just something about the picture that I like. I love it. It looks
great.
Amazing. It's great.
He was in Vietnam. To my knowledge, he worked in an office. So he didn't. He didn't see action, but he was in Vietnam, and he, for the most part, doesn't talk about it.
Yeah.
Never really did, but he still has, some of the uniforms and some of the medals, and, he's got boxes of slides that he took that my daughter, who's an archivist, is now, has been, putting in a digital format. So she scans the slides and, has been sending them out, sending them to him. And he gets a kick out of that, but he never really talked about, what went on. He didn't like being there.
Yeah.
He felt that, he certainly did his part for serving the country, but
no arguments here.
Yeah.
Well, that's the main thing. You go in, listen, whether you like me, I was a fan of it. I didn't like it, but I go in, I did my time. I did what I had to do. I had integrity, and I got out.
Right.
That was it.
And that's basically it. He, to this day, he doesn't like fireworks. They're shooting off the fireworks on, July 4th. It's summertime. Can't stand that. He just can't stand that. That's obviously a result of what he heard out there. But, and he'd say it's just, it just brings him back. But he doesn't. That's really it. I mean, that's the long and short of it.
Yeah.
Got it.
All right.
You
So,
know, but, Martha Ray, she did a lot with the servicemen out there. You know, she would go from time to time and serve, if I'm not mistaken, as a nurse. So she was a registered nurse. She was an actress, a comedian, and would offer herself to go down and help the guys down there, you know, out there.
That's amazing.
And I guess, you know, their paths crossed, and then, you know, there he was. He looked pretty
he looks happy. He's happy in that picture.
Yeah, exactly.
He got to meet the Big Mouth, as they called her, as the American comic actress, singer, and performer.
From the Paladin commercials. You guys are probably too young to remember the Paladin commercials.
We definitely are too young to remember. Well, I don't. Yeah. Victor sometimes has some great memories.
What year frame is that? I'm born in 90, so was it before the 90s?
Well, the Paladin commercials are probably late 70s, 80s. Yeah.
I am a little bit of history buff, so I do like, especially the 60s and 70s. I like that era. I think it was like the end of the beginning of the end that we see today.
Yeah. It's certainly,
I really think so.
I feel that there's a lot of stuff that, and I'm sure every generation feels that way. But, you know, being my age, I'm almost 50. And, you know, I was really kind of the first generation to use video games and computers. Now, I mean, my kids blow me away on that. I don't know, you know, half as much as, you know, me, it was Atari, you know, the first Atari system, you know, and a joystick kept breaking, and, you know, now it's you don't even have to buy it. It's all on Steam.
Now you strap it to your forehead.
Yeah, right.
Well, just like,
spit on it, throw it on there, and you're good.
Just consumption of content in general has completely changed. Like just looking in your background, you know, the records, compared to, you know, that effort of collecting, compared to just having every single piece of content you can think of at the tip of your phone. It takes away. I think it takes away from sort of like the art and the appreciation.
I mean, I never understood. Even, you know, I ran hot and cold with record out, you know, actual vinyl records. You know, I hadn't bought records for about 18 years when the kids were growing up, because who's got time to sit and listen to a record? And it was probably about 3 years ago when I was going, but I would still buy CDs because I need something physical. I can't, if I like the music, I can't just, you know, magically have it appear on my computer or on my iPod or on my phone. I want to own something. Exactly. So I would still go to record shops and buy CDs. And I'm there with my son, who at the time was probably, I don't know, 16, give or take. And he's looking through records. And I'm like, yeah, could I get this? Yeah, sure. And once he started buying some of these records, you know, we set up the turntable again. And it's like, well, you know, I used to have records, and I never got rid of any of my old stuff. So he purged a bunch of stuff from my collection that he was interested in. My daughter took a few things that she was interested in, but I was left with a sizable amount. And I mean, certainly over the last year during, you know, quarantine and COVID and whatnot, it's like, you know, if I sit home during the day and watch a movie, I'm falling asleep.
Yeah.
But if I put a record on, I know I got to get up every 15, 20 minutes and change the side. I'm not sleeping. And you know, it gives me that little exercise during the day if I'm not lifting weights in the basement or whatever.
Well, actually, that's what I wanted to talk about, because, you know, what are you, 6'1"?
So, yeah,
you know, you're a muscular guy. I kept growing up, you always maybe the tallest, the biggest. Like during the years growing up, were you like the jock, the theater creature, the bookworm, the band guy?
Neither. None of the above. I was never into sports. Never ever into sports. I was always into music. So that was my thing. But I never, you know, I didn't learn to play an instrument until I was in my 20s. You know, but as a kid, I was always just the kid who, the kid who was into metal. You know, back then it was, you know, through elementary school, junior high, you know, that age, it was, you know, Dio and Ozzy and Maiden and Priest, you know, like what's now considered like dad metal.
Yeah, I mean, well, I still consider it metal. I love all those bands. And then, you know, in the new generation, I have the Lamb of God. I also love Slayer, Anthrax, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm right. Anthrax and Slayer I was into. Lamb of God was never really my thing.
Oh, you're breaking his heart.
Yeah, you're breaking my heart. It's all right.
I saw them out at Jones Beach. It was Lamb of God. I think it was like this.
Oh, the recent one in 2018, maybe?
So
Slayer?
Slayer headline.
Yeah, I was there.
Anthrax and Lamb of God and who else played? It was Exodus, Exodus or Testament, or maybe Exodus and Testament.
I think they were both there.
But Slayer headlined the show.
Yes.
And I'm there with my son and he's watching Lamb of God, and I'm like, you like this? And he's like, oh, it brings me back to junior high. He's like nostalgic for junior, and I'm like, this just does nothing for me. But listen, I'm not saying it's bad. It's just not my jam.
No, I'm not into it either. So I'm in the same boat as you. I'm not into sports. Not too crazy into. I like classic rock. I'm more into maybe not so much the metal.
The soft porn of music.
Softcore.
Listen, it's the reason it's popular for the last 50 years. You can't go wrong with it.
Yeah.
So Coney Island is
every spectrum.
Yeah. So Coney Island, I mean, before we get into your specialty, but to build a better of a picture, Coney Island is a landmark to this day. But before we had Sideshow, I believe history, we had a children's restaurant, strip clubs, and stuff like that.
Well, yes and no. I mean, if we look at the entire amusement district, Coney Island is the birthplace of American amusements. Mm-hmm. So you wouldn't have Six Flags, Hershey Park, Disneyland,
really,
if you didn't have Coney Island. Yeah, this is the first place in the entire world where amusements were in a centrally located area. All right. So back in the day, now we're going back over 100 years, you had a series of pretty big amusement parks in Coney Island. You had Dreamland, which is now where the aquarium is, and it extends, but pretty much right where the aquarium was Dreamland. Where Cyclone Stadium is, or it's MCU Park, where the Cyclones play, the ball field out there. There was Steeplechase Park. Where Luna Park is, which is on the other side of Surf Avenue. It's now the Luna Park houses. Back then was Luna Park. And so then there was, other smaller area like Paul Boynton's park. But I'm talking like the big three were Dreamland, Steeplechase, and Luna.
Okay.
And the hot dog. So if we stick with the amusements, the roller coaster was invented in Coney Island. The hot dog was invented in Coney Island. They would serve sausage. It was basically sausages. Yeah. And Nathan Handwerker of Nathan's famous, the hot
Nathan's
dog
famous, yeah.
He was working for Feltman's at the time, which was a restaurant out there. And he said, wait a second, we can get people to move a lot quicker if we serve this food on the go. So he slapped it on, slapped a hot dog inside bread and said, pay.
Send it.
And that's it. Fast food was invented in Coney Island. So you got that. Frozen custard was invented in Coney Island. And these are, just everything that, makes America what it is, basically, was invented right there. And, it was really kind of popular culture at the time. Now, back then you had, what were called freak shows. Mm-hmm. And Dreamland had a massive freak show. And a lot of the parks would host, smaller freak shows. And then there were different side shows or freak shows within the area. So if we go to the 50s already, sideshows were sort of winding themselves down, and there was a reason for it. There was, I'm talking strictly within Coney Island, but if we look at the more national picture, they were winding down as well. And there were a number of reasons for that. Mass media certainly didn't help these sideshows, both TV and movies. In the 50s now, almost every household had a television set. People, I don't have to leave the house. I could be entertained in the house. And they're watching more television. But it was also the rise of, what we call political correctness. I mean, you had, people who were expected or who were thought to have been exploited working at the freak shows, people who were born different. Yeah. And as it turns out, these people were not being exploited. The sideshows were at that time the only places where these people could actually get honest work, because it was a different time then. Back, you're looking at 60, 70 years ago.
You needed to get a paycheck.
And beyond, these people were institutionalized. They were marginalized from society. Yeah. They were put in homes and were unable to work, unable to do anything for themselves. Yeah. And the sideshows gave them an area to be responsible, to make a living. And, it was thought of as being exploitative, and they eventually started cutting back on all of that. And, then Coney Island fell into major disrepair in the 60s and the 70s, the 80s. But it was the early 80s when Coney Island, USA and Sideshows by the Seashore popped up. Mm-hmm. So there hadn't been a sideshow in Coney Island for a good number of years prior to that.
It was like a clean slate.
Yeah, basically a clean slate in a bad neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And, so that's the organization that I work with is Coney Island U. I mean, I do my own thing, but I'm the associate artistic director at Coney Island USA. Like you said earlier, the professor of the professor and dean of the sideshow school. So that's kind of where I spend a lot of my time.
Yeah. So, I mean, well, let's just chop into it. I mean, you don't wake up and play with fire, literally. Like, how does this all begin? Like, where did you decide to, go down this path where you were going to do these sideshow acts?
Well, see, that's Darwinism at its best. I mean, if you wake up and you play with fire, you see what happens. But if you're smart about it, you're going to get trained. And, right. I had stumbled upon the sideshow as a kid. And so this is early 80s. I'm walking on a boardwalk. One week, it's a vacant storefront. The next week, there's banners outside. There's a guy out front talking into a microphone, telling you to come on into the show. The hell is this? Yeah, this looks pretty cool. And I paid whatever it was at the time, went in, and it's this portal to another world. I mean, stuff that I had never seen before. Fire eaters and sword swallowers, a tattoo, the illustrated man, guys, head to toe with tattoos. This is unbelievable.
It's my dream.
And
now it's every rapper.
Mike Wilson was his name, and he was just an interesting character, because again, we're looking at the mid 80s here, and neck tattoos you'd hardly see, let alone facial tattoos and tattoos on your skull, on your head. And this guy, he wore it proud, and
as he should.
He was ahead of his time.
He was. He really, really was.
I benefit off of that, because now it's like, right.
Now I'm the freak at the sideshow with not a single tattoo.
With no tattoos, yeah. No tattoo. You mean you don't have one tattoo? Yep.
No tattoo. No piercings.
Well, I would have lost that bet. If someone asked me, did you have a tattoo? I would have figured you had something on you.
Nothing, nowhere. And so that I don't even know what the question was at this point, but
no, I'm saying, how did you get into it? Like, what are the acts
you do?
Yeah.
All right. So I came across the sideshow, felt like I was transported to another world, and would go repeatedly, week after week after week, and just loved the show. But at that point, as a teenager, as a kid, I'm not the guy who's going to, talk to anybody in the show. This is their world. This is my world. I'm here just to watch. And, I don't want to learn how to, I just is amazing to look at. But in my mind, you need to have something wrong with you in order to swallow a sword. I mean, now fast forward to, okay.
It looks fun.
You gotta have a set. You have to have a pair to go, yep, I'm going to try to stick that somewhere. It definitely shouldn't go.
You're absolutely right on that. And it was about, give or take 20 years ago. that I saw online, ConeyIsland.com sideshow school. You can learn how to swallow a sword and spit fire and hammer nails into your head and walk on glass. And I'm like, oh, this is incredible.
Yeah.
And I signed up for the class, and it was given, over a couple of days, over 2 weeks. And I took the class and learned everything they taught. I mean, it was it took a while, but I was able to learn it and perfect it. And, we would learn sword swallowing. And 4 or 5 days later, I was able to get the training implement all the way down. Now, you're not starting with a sword. You're starting with something that's a lot more flexible than a sword.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously, if you start with a sword and you gag, that sword is going to puncture the esophagus. Should you be lucky enough to get it down, it's going to puncture you anywhere from the voice box down to the esophagus. So you've got to use something that's got a lot of give to it. So you swallow it, and if you bend, if you retch, it's going to bend along with you, and then you just pull it out. And I learned how to do that. And just because I learned how to do it, I was able to get the training implement down in a few days. It still took me quite a while to be able to now get a sword down. Now, now it's a matter of getting this training implement down successfully without retching every time. And then you move to a sword. And it took a while to get the sword down comfortably. I mean, the early days, I would say the first year that I was performing, I would have to go hours from the time that I ate until the time that I performed. Mm-hmm. Because I would inevitably retch and gag. And, I was doing a golf tournament. And, they barbecue. They had golf tournaments. They got barbecue and steaks and,
Yes.
and I'm eating like a monster. And, now I have to perform. And, knowing full well that at that time I had to allow at least 3 or 4 hours, I went into the bathroom, made sure to gag got all the food out, and then went out and did my show. And it was it. No one knew the better. But there was one show early on where I had eaten a falafel about within the hour before performing. Falafel is a very refluxogenic food.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's spicy. You eat it, forget the sword, you want to belch it up. But now compound that with swallowing a sword. And that sword went down, and I bring the sword back up, and up comes a mouthful of chewed up falafel.
I was going to say, did you pull out the falafel on the sword? Because that would have been.
No, it wasn't on the sword. It was in my mouth. And now you got to make the decision. Do I swallow or spit? And, went right back. That chewed up falafel went right back down. No one knew the better. No one knew.
Wow.
The show must go on.
I would have fucked that up. I would have projectile like I was in The Exorcist and ruined that whole show.
It was bad. It's spicy as it's going down. It burns.
Yeah,
thanks.
You wanted the front row.
It's the splash.
So
zone.
what are the dangers in sword swallowing? What can you act like? What are the dangers?
Other than the obvious.
I mean,
the dangers. I mean, everything from a scratched throat, and I could talk a little about that because that's happened, to a punctured esophagus. And that's the worst thing would be the punctured esophagus, because then they've got to go in and stitch the whole thing up. I think they do it sort of, through, they'll send a camera down your throat and mend it. So I really don't know how they repair that.
Doesn't sound pleasant.
Rip open your chest and go in from the outside. I don't know. But I've scratched my throat a couple of times, a pretty bad scratch, and that's never good. Now, that happened to me twice. Once very early on, and once about 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. Now, most recently, the one that was 4 years ago, I was doing a show. Someone pulled the sword out after I had swallowed it. I don't know what went wrong. She might have, sort of moved the sword on an angle as she was pulling. Whatever it was, my throat is now scratched. And the experience is you feel your throat slowly starting to swell. So within seconds, it feels like you've swallowed a marble, and that marble is stuck in your throat, and you can't swallow anything else. And I gargle with but it's not going to get better. Within an hour, that marble turns into what feels like a golf ball. All right. Okay. So now you've got, the entire throat swells up and you can't eat and you can barely drink. Nothing hot, nothing cold. And I let this, about 4 years ago, I let it go for it was maybe a hair less than a week. And I just, it'll get better. It's going to get better. It's going to get better. A week comes by. It's really not getting better. And I went to an ENT and I explained the situation to the ENT. I said, look, I'm a sword swallower. I got scratched. So he took a camera and, scoped it down my nose, dangled it into my throat. I'm like, hey, listen, let me feed the camera down. Yeah. I know how
I'm a professional.
Like, want to do it? Go ahead. I fed the camera down. He told me when to stop, and he looked at it. He says, yeah, it's pretty red. It's pretty swollen. And he's asking me questions. Did you have fever? No. Did you have chest pains? No. Any heart palpitations? No. He's like, my God. He said, your immune system must be through the roof, because most people who would have had a scratch that bad would have gone to the hospital with one of those symptoms. He says, you didn't. Here's a heavy, he gave me some heavy duty antibiotic. Finish up the antibiotic, lay off the swords for about a month. You'll be good to go. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened.
And
that's crazy.
Yeah, I know. And these are dangerous stunts. Like, I can only imagine there's people that come up to you like, hey, is this a fake prop? Is this an illusion? I mean, what are the stories between that when someone comes up to you? People, no matter how much you try to prove the point, they're still going to deny it. I mean, before shows, again, we're talking pre-COVID when I was still working live shows.
Nah, it's coming back. It's coming back.
Yeah, I eventually it will. But I would go out and if there were people in the audience, I'd allow them to feel the sword. Look, these are the swords that I'm going to be swallowing in a half an hour. You're going to be here for the show. You check them out. You feel them. You make sure that they're real. Any buttons, any secret traps that they collapse, check it out, because I'm going to refer to you during the show. And inevitably, then I clean them off, I sterilize them, and I'll swallow them during the show, and I'll call attention. Hey, this guy right over here, he felt the swords. Right? Yep. Stand up, tell him and obviously I haven't done much fire eating, even pre-COVID when I had a beard, a shorter beard. That fire eating stuff, not only can you get burned, not only do you run the risk of inhaling that fire into your lungs, shutting down your lungs completely, burning your lungs and gasping for air, but there's the long-term effects, which are the chemicals in that, in the fuels that, you're not drinking, you're not, ingesting.
Yeah, that's all fuel.
Any of the fuels, but inevitably these are going to seep in by keeping them in your mouth. They're dripping down into your digestive system. They're getting into your bloodstream. So none of these are good. So I pretty much stopped the fire eating that's got to be at least 5 or 6 years ago already.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't you say you had someone that told you, that's not fire, that's cold fire?
Oh yeah. Yeah. People don't think that it's real. You can hold a torch and, if you're holding a torch within, probably a foot to 8 inches,
you're going to feel it.
You can feel the heat.
Yeah.
Now, when you do a blast, whether it's indoors, whether it's outdoors, there's a circumference, a perimeter of about 15 feet where you can feel the heat of that blast. Mm-hmm. And yet people still say that it's fake.
I don't know.
It's kind of crazy.
It's got to be the people that just deny everything.
It's a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
Right. We've got plenty of those. So
I'm just super curious. Is the fuel a secret? Like, could we? I'm pretty sure it's not kerosene. You're not putting kerosene in your mouth, I hope.
We're going to keep it a secret.
Secret?
We don't want any of your viewers or any of the hosts over here playing around with this. So, he said it's kerosene, so I'm going to go try it.
Yeah,
you're right.
Is it
This show should come with a
food-grade?
giant label. Do not try it.
I mean, yeah. When we teach this out at Sideshow School, one of the professors, Patrick, who teaches the fire, because he's got a very small little goatee, and he's cool with tea. I'm like, nope, not with it. Even like I said, when my gear was a lot trimmer, I still didn't want to deal with fire. But we'll show the students videos straight out of YouTube, accidents. Of people using the wrong fuel, people not using a fire guard, people just being completely careless and setting themselves on fire. Yeah. And listen, this is what happens when you do this the wrong way. And there's at least an hour's worth of video that he's put into, like a playlist.
That's awesome.
That, but I mean, don't get me wrong. We're showing that on the last day. We're going through the pace. We're teaching them how to do it. We're teaching them about the fuels. We're getting a torch in their mouth on day one. I mean, within the first 3 hours of you being in this session, you will have a torch in your mouth. Whether you extinguish it or not is another story. Whether your head comes on fire or not is another story. But we haven't lost anyone yet. But
what kind of disclosures do they sign off on?
We have a hold harmless agreement that says you're doing this on your own volition, and we are not responsible. And I've been teaching Sideshow School. I mean, it's got to be 50, give or take 15 years already. And we've luckily never had a major accident. We've had people get glass in their foot for walking on glass. We've had people, get a bloody nose from hammering nails into their nose.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's real. So you're going to have real.
Right. People who, burnt their mouth on the fire, but never enough that maybe they'll skip one day of instruction, but by the third or the fourth day they're back at it. They're like, I'm not going to let this get me. You got to go in with the right frame of mind, and that's really it. Sure. If you're taking this class, what's involved. I mean, this is a fully hands-on, immerse yourself experience. It's not, and I've had students who took the class for research. Where I'm writing a book on Sideshow. One of the characters is a source, so I want to learn about,
Yeah.
But, if you want to do it the right way and you want to maximize what this course is, you're going to immerse yourself into this and try everything. And then you can decide, what, I really don't like this.
Do you have like who are your students when they come there?
Everybody. I mean, when I tell you I've had doctors, practicing doctors, I've had retired doctors, I've had lawyers, I've had school teachers, barkeeps, just college students, magicians, or other performers who are looking to expand their repertoire. I mean, it's from all walks of life.
Yeah, and anyone walking in that is kind of like day one, they're like, I'm into this. By day four, they're like, you know what, this, I don't know. Or anyone you suggest, like, hey, kid, I don't think this is for you.
No, I would never say that, because Well,
you don't also want to see if someone's having trouble swallowing the sword, you're gonna be like, maybe we'll try to blow fire out of your mouth. The sword now. No,
they're gonna learn. They're gonna take it at their pace.
Okay,
and I'm gonna teach it. If they decide, I've tried the swords, and every time I do it, I'm throwing up. And when we do, we'll do sword swallowing on the first day.
Really?
And a typical day of Sideshow School, we start off in the theater, and we talk who is everybody. We introduce ourselves. I talk a little about myself, and then we get right into it. And we start off with fire. Fire is the first thing that we do.
Good.
And, again, it's touching their tongues with a torch. If they're comfortable enough, we'll teach them how to, do a mouth extinguish. Just close your mouth around the torch. It depends on, where they are mentally. And then we move on to the blockhead. That's the nail in the nose. And we'll start off, with something soft. So, it's like a COVID test almost. Yeah. Oh, and then, you got to play around with that. Then we break for lunch. I send everybody out of the building, go to Nathan's, go get pizza, go get chicken, go, eat. And I don't tell them what's next.
Yeah.
Right.
We're going to come back. We're going to be upstairs in the museum.
Well, that's good that you start off with the sword swallowing because then they can go eat and they don't have to worry about projectiles.
No.
Oh,
Sword
no.
swallowing is after lunch.
The ultimate test.
There's a reason I do it that way.
Wheeze them out.
Go eat. Make sure you eat, and then come back.
Get nice and full.
Exactly.
Yeah, try the falafel thing on Surf Avenue.
Go to Spumoni Gardens.
Place out there, and make sure you come back and you've eaten. And they all come back. Now we're going to do sword swallowing. And I give my lecture on how to do, explain it, and then so it's really kind of probably an hour from the time that they've eaten till the time they're trying it, but the food is still in the stomach.
Right.
And then they have a go at it. And sometimes, sometimes they will just puke and puke and puke. And sometimes they'll just retch and gag. But you need to know, what I try to teach is you need to know your body and what can happen. So eat, puke. There's nothing to be ashamed of.
I'm just letting you know, if I'm in that class, I'm puking. I have bad gag reflex.
Well, all right. I mean, at this point, we're not even dealing with this class until we're way beyond.
And
COVID.
if I hear it and smell it, I'm throwing up too. I got a weak. I don't know. I'm just weak with that stuff.
I don't do well with that either. But I guess over the years, because I've been teaching the class, I can hear it, but I can't see it. So I do look away.
So other than sword swallowing, what else do you have for the axe?
Ooh, all right. Well, let's see. I mean, I've got, if you said, Adam, I need 3 hours on stage, I can give you basically I would be bored as hell. Your audience would be bored as hell, but I could give you 3 hours on stage. I have a full escape show, straitjacket, handcuffs, chains.
That's dope. Why would we be bored?
Well, I mean, I'm saying,
to physically see it. Yeah.
I mean, unless you're watching The Godfather for 3 hours, anything else is boring.
Yeah.
So
some people like the Titanic. Victor, you had something?
Yeah, I want to know what the curriculum was. Is it like a pass fail? Like, how do you know who's ready to go out into the public and start swallowing swords and blowing fire?
That's up to the students. And,
okay.
I mean, what we do offer is really kind of lifetime support. In other words, I've had students from 5 years ago who.
You're initiated.
Never mad. What was that?
You're initiated. You finish the gauntlet week, and you're forever family.
It's basically what it is, like from Freaks. We accept you, one of us, and that's what it boils down to. Because it can be 3, 4, 5 years down the line, and you have a question about fuel, a question about torches, a question about sword swallowing. Shoot me an email, message me, and we'll answer it. It really is lifetime support. And I mean, I'm not the best at maintaining relationships with the former students, but they all know, and they have, contacted me, and they can contact me at any point.
Yeah, it's an open book. You left it if you need help.
Exactly.
We're going to get Vic to go through the class, and this way we can record a couple episodes of him trying to get these things down.
I don't know if I'm brave enough, but I mean,
in addition to the hold harmless, we do have a non-disclosure form. So you can't record, you can't blog. I mean, you can talk about your experiences, but you can't talk about the secrets.
Yeah,
and part of that is, I mean, listen, this is how we make our living.
For sure.
There are, certainly techniques that I'm not going to reveal to you.
That makes sense. That definitely makes sense.
But you can blog, you can write about your journey. But we don't want you exposing any. I mean, again, for the most part, what you see is what you get. Exactly. But we don't want people trying it. So, it's for everyone's safety.
So, for the listeners and Jack and Victor, I actually got to meet Adam at a mutual friend. We had something going on then, and he actually put me to a test to try to rip through a 52 deck card, and I couldn't. I mean, I barely bent the freaking fucking deck. By the way, we can curse if you feel comfortable. I'm just saying. I barely bent it, and you're ripping through it like butter, and it's right in front of me. You're not doing what normal people do. Sometimes they like bend it, or they start ripping it on their knee. You're actually holding it in front of you, and you said what? You said hold it with one side very firm, and with the other hand pull back.
Yep. Yep.
That's insane. I mean,
We're
I
talking about a
struggled.
deck of bicycle, like
The ones that we
Playing
use
cards.
were casino cards.
Casino
Casino
playing
cards.
cards, just regular, yeah, whatever.
Right. So
those things are thick.
you can get they're not the like cheap cardboard dollar store cards. These are like real casino. Yeah, I mean, you can get these in a dollar
The
store.
bicycle cards, I think they are.
But
Yeah.
there's bicycles, one brand. These are I don't know what brand they are, but they're casino deck cards.
Got it.
Yeah, I got it right here. Well, you can't really say I have my background on because if I don't have my background on, it looks like I'm in a Russian prison camp. But yeah, so
quality living.
Exactly.
He's in the gulag.
Yeah, the gulag. He's in the Russian sleep experiment.
Yeah, so I mean that alone was crazy. But so basically, you are who you are. What does your family and friends think about what you do?
Everyone gets a kick out of it. It's it's certainly not every family and not every friends group is going to have a performer, that performs the types of things that I do. We touched on it before. So I do escapes. I have a whole strongman show, bending nails, ripping decks of cards, ripping phone books, levering a sledgehammer. That's something that's now, right. I mean, you understand what it is. You have a 10-pound sledgehammer.
Right.
That you hold with your arm just parallel to the ground, your elbow straight, and using only your wrist, levering it so that the hammer head touches your nose.
Jesus.
And I mean, it's all physics. It's the weight of the hammerhead multiplied by the distance where your hand is, and then you get the amount of foot-pounds of torque that are on your wrist. So, you have a 10-pound hammer with a 30 or a 32-inch distance. That's 320 pounds of torque on your wrist.
Just on your wrist.
Yeah. I mean, most people can't even, wouldn't even be able to hold it, let alone lever it using only the wrist.
Some people don't even know how to use a 2-pound hammer, let alone.
Exactly. And, so I've got a full strongman show, and I touch on magic here and there. I can do certainly a 45-minute magic show. And then there's like the really kind of hardcore gross acts, snapping a mouse trap on my tongue. But for the most part.
So can you withstand a lot of pain, or is it a technique where you don't feel the pain?
It's a combination.
He's just like a real man, bro.
Everything else, comes natural. But no, like everything else that I do, everything is mind and body. If you convince yourself that you can do it, you'll be able to do it. There's a certain amount of conditioning behind everything. There's a certain amount of pain and pain tolerance that you're going to have to put yourself through.
No pain, no gain.
Eventually, you'll get it. That's exactly it. No pain.
So I watched a documentary. It was about basically how hot people can eat peppers, and there's competitions on pepper eating. And basically, what they explained was kind of like what you said. It was mind over matter, right? So essentially, like they can withstand the pain if they put themselves in the sense of space in their mind.
It's only
pain. It similar? Like, is that what you sort of do? Like, yes, the pain is there and it's real. I acknowledge that, but I can withstand it because it's only pain.
At this point, after performing most of these acts, anywhere from 10 to 20 years, it's second nature. At this point, you give me a deck of cards and I can rip them. You give me a sword and I'll swallow it. Like I said, during COVID, it's, shows are few and far between. So I certainly have gone the longest amount of time between swallowing swords, between shows. This time it's probably 2-3 months. I mean, under normal circumstances, I can't go a week. Sometimes it's days. Sometimes I'll have 3 or 4 shows in a day.
Yeah.
But now I'm going 2-3 months without swallowing a sword, and it's like riding a bicycle. I mean, you just you do it, it goes right down.
Yeah.
Right.
But when I was learning all these things, specifically the feats of strength, ripping the deck of cards. Now, you tried it.
Oh.
And, I mean, the hand that's gripping the cards are scraping against your hand.
Yeah, you got to build those calluses.
That's what it is. It's eating into your hand. So the first time you try ripping that deck, it's going to tear into your hand. If you're lucky, you're not going to get cut. If you're smart, you'll stop before you get cut. But if you keep going at it, you're going to cut yourself.
Yeah.
And eventually your hands are going to callous enough so that, you take it, you rip it. The same thing with bending a nail. I can take a 6-inch spike and, it takes about 350 pounds of pressure in order to bend that nail. Now, if I do a walk around gig and I'm, a walk around strongman, in an hour, I can go through 8, 9 nails and, 6, 7, 8, 9 packs of cards. And, my hands afterwards are completely callous. I mean, you can probably take a cigar,
the manly hands,
stub it out on my, on certain parts of my hand. I wouldn't even feel it at that point.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I imagine your feet got to be the same to walk over glass, because that's
something that I do. I teach. I haven't done that act in ages. It's more of for me, it's more of a pain than anything else. And I mean, for my show, for the show that I present, I never really found a place to fit it in to what I do. So,
yeah. So before you were, you brought up the word freak and, this is how it was, this is sideshows, but in today's day and age, where are we at with the word freak? Is it a derogatory term, or is it something where like the performers use it, but the civilians shouldn't?
It's a good question. I mean, I'm what's called a working act. All right. So, within a traditional sideshow, there have always been 3 types of performers. You have the working acts, which are the fire eaters, sword swallowers, glass walkers, strongmen. You have the self-inflicteds, and these are people who take it upon themselves to alter their body. Mm-hmm. Multiple piercings, heavily tattooed, stuff like that. They'll split their tongue, the bifurcated.
Yeah. I've seen that. It's so cool.
I like that.
The pain. Yeah.
I wouldn't. Like I said, you're talking to a guy who's got no piercings, no tattoos, no body mods. I am, I'm the freak now. But the highest tier of sideshow performers traditionally been the born different, the people that were born unlike you or I, whether it's multiple limbs or, just a different appearance. And, they were always considered, I mean, the freak show in the traditional sense was, let's look at these freaks, these people that were born different.
Right.
Now, in 2021, I'm assuming we're airing this at some point this year. So,
yeah.
I don't know what the editing process is, but in 2021,
5 minutes and 2 cigarettes, I'll get it done.
All right, then there you go. And we're on the air. So in 2021, you don't want to call someone a freak. It is disrespectful, but within the sideshow community, to say you work at the freak show, it has become, slightly better. Yeah. And it's at this point, probably more of a tongue-in-cheek reference than anything else. But, you wouldn't walk up to somebody who's born different and call them a freak, because chances are you'll get everyone else who's on the show to beat you up.
Exactly. Right. And it's like an inner circle thing. Like within you guys, that's how you communicate. Like sometimes I'll call Jack an idiot, or, like, hey, boombots, or something in Italian. And, it's just something where someone from the outside would say that, hey, what are you doing? You can't talk to us like that.
Exactly. And, and again, I refer to myself as a performer, a sideshow performer, not a freak show performer.
Exactly. All right. So, and by the way, with this whole fire thing, you have a license for that, correct? And that's like a hard license to get when you do your outside performances. Yeah.
So in New York City, you absolutely need to be certified through FDNY. Mm-hmm. This started about 4 or 5 years ago, where there were just too many bad accidents and too many idiot performers. And, FDNY got together with a fire troop and came up with a set of rules and a test and a certification program to make sure that anyone who's doing fire legally within the boroughs is certified. Now, there are two different licenses. There's the fire producer, which allows you to produce a fire show and to be a performer, and just a performer. And within the city, I think there's probably less than 10 fire producers within the city. I'm one of them.
That's big.
At Coney Island, we've got two. Patrick, who's the general manager, is a fire producer, and myself. And there's, others within different troops around the city. But the more common one would be the fire performer. Now, the fire producer, if you guys are doing an event and you want to have myself or Coney Island or a certified fire troop at your event, we now, as a fire producer, I would now have to deal with FDNY. So they would bring down a fire guard, someone to inspect the situation. Mm-hmm. If they feel that it's too dangerous, in other words, the perimeter from the performer to where the people are going to be is too small. If there's not a clear barrier between the performer and the guests, they're not going to allow it. If it's indoors and the ceiling is too low, they're not going to allow it. If there isn't proper ventilation, they're not going to allow it. But that's something that, as a fire producer, I should pre-vet before we even deal with FDNY.
Yeah.
So
makes sense.
You're looking to do something indoors, and I need the specs of the room, and I need to be there. I would need to be on site with fire protective gear. So I've got an industrial smoke, a fire extinguisher and a fire blanket, so that any fire performer, and I won't book someone that I haven't worked with.
Exactly, that's also key. But let me ask you something: when you go to these venues and you already fireproofed it, do you have to still go back, do a double check, or like, hey, we're good to go, nothing's changed?
No, well, usually I don't normally make even a site visit. I will talk to the manager of the venue and go through exactly what I need. The specs of the room. I need to know where the sprinkler systems are, and how sensitive their system is. And for the most part, I will generally talk the client out of a fire eating situation or fire performance. Because it really is costly, because we've got to now pay FDNY to come. We fill out the form, we have to pay. So that cost is passed on to the client. And you're now going to pay a performer. So you're paying the FDNY fee, you're paying the performer, you're paying the fire guard. Mm-hmm. There has to be a safety. And, a fire performance costs like $1,000. At that point, for a 5-minute performance.
Yeah. You can't do nothing in New York, man.
Oh, you can't.
It definitely makes me appreciate it more. Besides the actual act, it's the logistics behind the act, just to get the act up and running.
Yeah, I mean, you can bring out a 45-minute show for the same price as a 5-minute fire act.
Yeah, wow. And it's crazy because I'm pretty sure in the future you're gonna have a thing hanging on the wall that says "break glass for a mask" in case someone forgets it or something. No.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I have like bad dreams where I'm in public and I forgot a mask.
Yeah.
You have dreams and you forget your homework, and now I'm having dreams I forgot my mask.
Yeah, I've always forgotten my homework.
I think that'll be with us for a little bit, at least a couple years.
So, Adam, besides, Johnny's birthday party and Seth's bar mitzvah, where else have you been performing and stuff?
Oh, well, we're talking pre-COVID now. I mean, I've been on, Ink Masters with Dave Navarro.
Dope.
Impractical Jokers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was on a Jimmy Kimmel show when he filmed in New York. He filmed at Brooklyn Academy of Music, and they brought us all, they brought the sideshow out. And, I was up in the balcony. They had the guy that Jimmy Kimmel, his foil, a guy that walks out with it. He jokes around. I don't even know the guy's name. He's always joking around with him.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about, but I don't know his name either.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sleeping by the time Jimmy Kimmel is on. He had everyone from the sideshow walk out on stage with this guy, and then they pan up to the balcony, and there I am swallowing a sword in the balcony. And so I've been on a bunch of TV shows. I met Billy Joel at the Jimmy Kimmel show.
Really?
And almost got thrown out for talking to Billy Joel on the Jimmy Kimmel show.
Really?
So, they have you go out really early, and you've got to be there on site, and then they do a rehearsal, and you have a 4-hour break, and there's another rehearsal, and then a break, and then you go and you do the show. Mm-hmm. And it was on one of those breaks, and I'm just, I went to the bathroom.
You're only human.
Yeah, exactly. I'm out of the bathroom, and there's Billy Joel holding court with, a bunch of, I guess some of his musicians I recognize, and just a bunch of people. I'm literally just standing, at a distance from them.
And this is pre-COVID.
This is pre-COVID. Yeah. I don't I'm thinking, this is Billy Joel, that's pretty cool. And he sees my shirt. I have my Freak Show Coney Island shirt. Now he starts talking to me. All right. He's like, Freak Show Coney Island. They still got a freak show out there? I said, yeah, they brought it tonight for you. We're going to be on Jimmy Kimmel. I'm the sword swallower.
Right.
And he starts talking to me like I'm talking to you guys. And he was telling us how he lived on Long Island as a kid, but he would come in for the summers and stay. I think it was his grandmother, his aunt lived in Brooklyn, and she worked at Steeplechase Park. Okay. So she would have, handfuls of tickets to give to Billy and his friends in Brooklyn, and they would go every day and go on rides. And we're talking, we're having a great conversation. And then one of the segment producers comes over, grabs me, and is like, all right, you can't talk to Billy Joel. You got to get out of here. And he was talking to me. I didn't initiate the conversation. Oh, whatever.
So
6 feet.
6 feet. Yeah, 6 feet.
Wait, did Billy Joel at least stop it?
Billy Joel, he kind of laughed as they were ushering me away. I'm waving to him, and he's like,
"Yeah, man."
But on the website, it says here that you also performed at Opie and Anthony's traveling circus tour, and I got to tell you, growing up, I used to listen to Opie and Anthony. I probably shouldn't for my age, but it was absolutely just the funniest thing. I think the best comics came out of that era. And you worked on that tour. What were you doing? What you did your gig there as
So this is going back.
Yeah, it's a while ago, but man, the good memories are good memories. I mean,
I'm giving it about 18 years, give or take.
Wow.
Yeah.
17 years. And it was a show in Jersey. Maybe it was a PNC. I don't remember where the venue was.
I think it was in Jersey.
They were doing their traveling tour.
Yeah.
And sort of the pre-show, people hang out in a parking lot at these shows. So on the grounds of whatever venue it was, they had a stage set up. And I was like the outside entertainment for the show. So I wasn't on tour with Opie and Anthony. I wasn't one of the comics, but I was part of that isolated one Jersey show as part of the Opie and Anthony traveling call, whatever they called it. I mean, I got to tell you, I haven't thought of that in years.
It was a point in my life where I was like, oh my God, I always wish that I could have gone. But I was, again, too young.
Yeah, he's an Opie and Anthony fan. I mean, it's not like I wasn't a fan. I liked them, but I was more on the Howard Stern side. That's my little idol.
Baba Booey.
Baba Booey. Exactly.
Oh man.
So any stories with you life threatening, or have you been to an act where it went sideways?
I mean, luckily for me, the worst thing that happened was scratching my throat. I mean, I remember. I'm really as careful as they're going to be. I'm as careful as they're going to get. I don't take chances when it comes to a lot of this stuff. I know how to do it. I'm not going to be the guy who you see on America's Got Talent who's going to, climb up a pole and swallow a sword and then, slide down the pole with his head facing the ground and stop inches. No.
That's all extra shit.
I mean, I'm doing it. What I'm doing is dangerous enough. Yeah. I don't need to.
Traditionally dangerous.
That's it. I'm not going to go crazy. I don't take risks, and that's really it. I mean, I can tell you, swallowing a sword, taking a risk you're taking a risk when you're swallowing a sword to begin with. Right. I'm not going to take any extra risks.
Right.
Exactly. Now, I mean, I know we kind of covered it on the basis, but you know, for many Americans, especially during the entertainment business and COVID, it's really affecting performers. You could include actors on that and all that, but
musicians, people that just
Now-
scratching on the street can't.
yeah, exactly. So, I mean, let's be honest, it is what it is. What have you done to did you pick up on something? Like, I know you do a lot with music. Like, have you taken the time to either try to learn something new? Did you pick up on where you left off with the vinyls, the music? What's been going on during the COVID era?
It's funny because I have absolutely no motivation. Last year, I've had no motivation to pursue anything performance related.
Okay.
Now, what I find is when I'm performing, I'm always trying to develop new acts as part of the show. Because if a client books you, they, book you last year, you got to throw one or two new things into the show so that, if it's the same clientele, the same kids who are watching a show, the same adults, you got to give them a little, it's always like a, sort of, well, we're going to do like when you go see Springsteen in concert, for argument's sake, or Lamb of God in your case.
Yes, sir.
They want, the fans want some of the old stuff, but they're going to play some new stuff.
Right.
So it's a mix of that. So I'll do, there's certain things that I won't get rid of. If the client wants sword swallowing or they want, whatever it is, but then there's always new stuff that I'm working on. This year, I have not touched anything new. I'm just completely unmotivated to do anything that show related. It's like I'm on. It's like almost I'm on vacation.
Yeah.
I'm doing a couple of Zoom shows here and there, and I had, I think, one very socially distant bat mitzvah that I did that was live. But that's really, really it. So I'm not developing new acts. I find just myself, I find that when I'm working and I'm busy, I need that motivation. Oh, you know what? I have a gig. I'm going to learn something just for this gig. And then I learn it and I master it on site. Mm-hmm. So it may take, if it's a walk around gig and I'm doing whatever it is, a mind reading, thing, I'll try it. And if it doesn't work, I know what went wrong and I know where I need to tweak it and what I need to do to get it to work so that the next time I go out, I'm working it and it's better. And then the next time it's even better. Exactly. So I'll slide it into a show or an event where, I can road test it, so to speak. I got nothing doing. I can't road test anything. So, I certainly have spent the better part of the year buying a lot of records. That's the first couple of months stores will close. So it's eBay and Discogs. And, now that stores are open, I'm buying more records. But a couple of weeks ago, I started up my own YouTube show about record collecting. So, it's just short. It's short. It started off as short. Every week it gets longer.
Your personal record.
Yeah, that's called Your Personal Record. And it's certainly a niche audience. How many people are collecting records? But for those that collect, you'll certainly find something within the interviews to enjoy. It's a show where I just sit on Zoom with a record collector. And we just talk about collecting records. And, you'd think, well, it would get boring after a week, but everyone's got a different take on it. Everyone's got a different story, and what they collect, sheds new light on, the topic of record collecting. And, and it veers into different music genres and whatnot. And I have fun doing it. I try to keep it, like I said, the first one was kind of short at like 25 minutes. The next one was 35. The next one was 45. The next one was 55. I think this one is probably over an hour.
Hey, that's how it happens. You're going to lose track of time.
And, but I don't know how to edit, and so it's it's record and then upload it to YouTube. That's it. I don't know.
No, you're doing great.
And to be honest, that's how I try to do. My editing skills is not that bad. Victor's bring it up plenty of time because he's like the tech guy. But I try to do everything one fucking take. You know what I mean? Like it is what it is. And it saves me time too.
Yeah, and then after the show, there's like I'll stop recording, and then it's another 45 minutes on Zoom, just doing show and tell. Oh, do you have this? Oh, yeah, I got this. Oh, you got that one. Oh, I'll show you my collection. I'll show you. Oh, yeah, let me see yours.
No, that's great because I think especially now with COVID, there's a lot more people that are jumping into collecting vinyls, and there's a lot more of this drive to look back at better times and see how the better living used to be. I mean, Victor was telling us one day about how the record players, like, you're not going to get that sound off of a CD. You need a record player in order to have this very unique sound from the same song,
especially with rock, because rock, they used to like to push the bandwidth of analog tape. All right. Yeah. And with that today, it's with sound, if you push past, the threshold, you get something called digital distortion. As opposed to rock, it kind of created this own unique flavor and sense. But what makes me laugh sometimes is that when people listen to vinyls on like a digital platform, it defeats the purpose.
Right.
We're really not listening to vinyls, but just collecting in general. I mean, I think it's an amazing thing. I started collecting comic books, and having that outlet to look into and better understand what you're doing is really helpful.
Right. I'm totally not an audiophile. I mean, I'm not the guy who's going to sit there with the, high-end tube amplifier and, $1,500 speakers. And for me, it's a simple system. I got a vintage receiver, a basic, sort of maybe
solid
2 levels above entry level turntable. But for me, it's about just the collecting,
Yeah.
So what makes one vinyl more? I mean, I know that there's the supply and demand, but is it like coins where it's like, oh, this is a limited edition? Is that how it works? I've never collected. I've never owned a vinyl.
Right.
And I'm looking at your awesome collection. I am in awe. But if you can sell it to me, because I don't see it.
So it all depends. Obviously the more popular an album was, the less it's, generally speaking, the less its value. Take something like Michael Jackson Thriller. All right. Okay. Sold millions and millions and millions of copies. Some stores are selling it for $20, but for the most part, it's a $5-7 record because there were so many out there. But like comic books, it depends on condition, and it depends on, how, is the record clean? Is the inner sleeve clean? Is the cover, the sleeve clean? It depends on how many were pressed. Certain things are pressed in a limited run. So, that those are going to, generally skyrocket.
Right.
Other things may not. Some bands are inherently more collectible than others. A band like Typo Negative. All right. You're familiar with
I think I've heard of,
Brooklyn band. For some reason, these guys are very collectible. So anything that comes out by time now, they're no longer with us. Pete Steele's gone. He passed away 10 years ago. But anything that's released, even posthumously, they're reissuing old records, is their values go up. Conversely, a band, let's take Billy Joel for argument's sake. You'd be hard pressed to find a Billy Joel record for more than $5-6. So many were printed. He, is a multi-million-dollar seller. Maybe his first album, Cold Spring Harbor, might go for a few more. Or if there are special releases or special pressings, you'll get like a half-speed master that, would go for, 20 or 30, maybe more. But for the most part, any studio stuff, any regular releases are going to go for, a few dollars. So it all depends.
I had a question too, because maybe you could explain it. When RCA came out with their logo, right? They had supposedly it was a representation of a dog listening to God. Could you clarify that? Or do you know much about the RCA logo?
I mean, I know that it was a dog listening to a record player.
That's what it was? Okay. I thought maybe there was something behind it. I don't know.
I mean, the dog's got his ear against, one of those old speakers.
Yeah.
If the speaker is God, it's a revelation to me.
There you go.
What size records? Do you only collect 45s or the smaller ones?
Everything in back of me here. These are all 12-inch, but these are, LP. Most of them are LPs, long plays. Okay. I have a few 12-inch singles in there. And then above me here in those boxes are 45s.
Okay.
And then I've got a bunch of stuff, down off camera, some more records. And I've got, a bunch of tapes. I've got some 8-tracks.
8-tracks. Gee.
This one's cool. I'm going to go off camera for just a sec here.
All right.
And this one here is, it just happens to be a sealed Kiss Dress to Kill 8-track.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you buy that? Is it sealed the way you bought it, or did you buy that?
This was given to me in probably 95. Now, I don't remember what year Dress to Kill was from, but this was, a 70s release, 70s Kiss album. But I've since, over the last probably 2 years, it's an odd 8-track fetish that I have. I collect sealed Lou Reed 8-tracks.
Wow.
And I've got just a bunch of, most of his albums that were released on 8-track. I think I'm missing about 4 or 5. And
wow.
I was in Florida at a record shop, Radioactive Records in Florida, and they had a sealed Coney Island Baby. That was the, a Lou Reed album. And I picked this up. It's cool. It's, funny Coney Island Baby. And since then, I've just come across other sealed Lou Reed 8-tracks. And I'll buy this one. I'll buy this one. And the collection is just expanding.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I think collecting is the only way to store value nowadays.
Well, that and Bitcoin, I guess, but I don't know anything.
Yeah, Bitcoin, I'm on the contrary on that one. I think it's just a phase.
I know nothing about it.
I don't know anything about it, and we're going to keep it that way for now. But so what do you got plans in the future? I mean, eventually everything is going to go back to normal, and I hope faster than what we think. And what's going on in the world of Adam the Strongman?
In the world of Adam the Strong, I'm just trying to keep strong and stay strong so that when the world does open up, I'm ready.
You're ready.
So I would hope that by summer, I got my second vaccination already. So I'm, you still have to be careful. I still got to walk around with a mask, but I'm hoping that by summer I'll have some shows and then things will just, keep moving from there.
That's cool.
Things will just keep getting better.
Well, yeah, definitely. I hope, and I definitely want to come see it because, like I said, I've been down to the Coney Island Sideshow Performer. I don't know how old I was. It was between, I want to say 12 and 14, but my memory's kind of faint after that. But I do remember walking in, it was me and a couple of guys and the guy's father who drove us down. It was really great, and it was definitely a great show. But and by the way, in Coney Island, I have this thing on my bucket list. I've never been to it. The Mermaid Ball, the Mermaid Parade.
Well, okay,
is that coming back? What is it?
The Mermaid Parade that's always usually around the third weekend of June.
June. Right.
This year, it's right around the summer solstice. So whatever that weekend is, which is usually the third.
The 23rd, yeah.
This year, we're not sure what's going to happen. I suspect it's not going to happen in June, but it might happen in August. It might happen in September, only because, I think the city is really being overly cautious, and I don't blame them. We can control the marchers in the parade. We can't control the people
crowd.
who attend.
Exactly.
So, I guess the city is sort of waiting to see how things play out with this virus. And then the Mermaid Ball is the official after party of the Mermaid Parade. And I've been lucky that I've been producing that ball for years and years. And we've had some insane events. 1 year ago, back quite a few years, we had Moby at the aquarium.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And let me tell you. Moby the DJ at the aquarium. We had a bunch of garage bands. The A-Bones opened for them.
Awesome.
And opened for him. They were doing all garage rock set, and then they cleared the stage and Moby did his DJ set. And I'm almost embarrassed to say, but it's sort of like a proud moment that the aquarium didn't have us back for about 10 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Then you did something right.
Exactly.
I will actually, I'm going to use the restroom. Do we want to take a break? I don't think we got too much more
Jack.
to go, but
Jack's controlling the show. Well, we're going to clean up. I mean, we don't got much to go. So you want to stick
I'll
around?
be right back.
Actually, yeah, you guys want to go refill up? Go refill up. I'll continue talking to Adam. I want to get on this polar bear. You can go, Jack. Go do your thing. The polar bear swim, the annual thing. You've done it, right?
I've done it a couple of times. Yeah. I'm not, excuse me, I'm not a guy who goes out there. These guys are out there every single week in season.
The immune system.
There's something to say about it. I mean, I've never spent that much time in the water. When I've done the New Year's thing, it's the thing to do. It really is a great way to start the year. The past few years I was working at the sideshow on we usually run a New Year's show. Mm-hmm. So I was working, performing in the sideshow during the, right when I said I couldn't, do the swim and then head over to, work. But at least I use that as my excuse for not going in the ice cold water. But, it really is an invigorating way to start the year. But you've got a huge amount of polar bears who are out there week after week when the weather is freezing out. And they're doing their thing, and they'll stay in 15 to 20 minutes because they say that you really can't go in more than maybe it's 20 minutes, give or take, plus or minus a couple of minutes. But they say that the endorphins really kick in after about 10 to 15 minutes. So you have to be in that freezing water for that amount of time before you really feel that rush. I've never spent more than a minute or two in there.
Okay, so by the way,
good for your immune system, right?
Oh, sorry, Victor, go ahead.
I was going to say it's supposed to be good for your immune system. Yeah,
it is good for the immune system. I mean, you got to remember something. We get sick from germs. We don't get sick from cold air or cold water. So,
and if anything, the cold does kill germs, from what I know.
Wake your body up.
It's certainly a wake up. Yeah, I mean, it might kill the guy. I don't know. I don't know the science behind it, but I do know, from the guys that I'm friends with, they do say that you'll really, if you stay in for that requisite amount of time, you will feel those endorphins just kick in, and you're going to feel incredible afterwards.
And that I'll give a try. Sword swallowing, I don't know if I'm down for that.
No,
but I do have a question. Well, two questions. It's actually from. We have a fan. Her name is Amanda, and she just wanted to ask two questions. She's not on, so I'm going to go ahead and ask them. Does sword swallowing help you eat faster? Do you have any type of... No? Nothing?
No, it doesn't help with digestion. It doesn't help with, what do they call that, peristalsis. That's, it's just, you're just swallowing swords and then eating your food.
There you go. And then she also asks, how did you go about presenting your profession while you were in the dating world?
I was married already, so
Okay. I mean, when you told the wife, did she go like, "Oh wow," or she already knew?
She was very encouraging to take the class. She knew that I had wanted. She knew that I had a big interest in this. And when I found the class online, I go, "You got to look at this. Learn how to swallow." And she was very encouraging. She said, "You better sign up, or what if you get closed out?" So, we didn't know that it was a recurring class. We thought it might have just been a one-off type thing. So, she send your money and, send away, sign up for it. And, she gets a kick out of it still. I mean, it's 20, I'm not saying that she goes to every show anymore.
Yeah.
But, some of the higher profile shows, she'll go to, just because it's a thing to do. But, generally speaking, it's a job. I mean, it's what I do.
Did you... I just have this question because whenever I embark on something new, like for instance, right now, Vic is he took me under his wing and we're doing this podcast. When I was in the military, I had a couple of people take me under their wing. When you started this process, do you have any, specific people that you would want to mention their names and people that helped you become who you are today?
Well, I learned all this from Todd Robbins. Todd was the professor before I was the professor. So I learned from him.
From Todd, okay.
And from Todd Robbins, yeah. And he was the one who taught the class. And when he left the organization, he's got a whole bunch of things going on. And so, he moved on to pursue other, he's done television and he himself has got a podcast and a YouTube show and whatnot.
Oh, okay.
And, then they asked me to take over the class. So Todd was really, pivotal in teaching me a lot of these things, sideshow feats.
All right, so we're going to wrap it up. But before we wrap it up, we're going to put you on a hot seat. We have Jack's final questions.
All right, let's
ready for this? All right, let's get the intro going in.
All right. Now, if you could live in a movie for 1 week, what movie would it be?
Oh, let's see. I not a whole lot of time to think, right?
No.
So just like
first that comes to mind.
I'm going with the Blues Brothers.
The Blues Brothers. All right. Okay. All right. Okay, this next one. What is your worst habit?
Probably picking at my fingernails.
Okay, I thought it was sword swallowing.
I get paid to swallow swords. I don't get paid to pick my fingernails.
If only we could. What is your guilty pleasure?
Oh boy, guilty. I don't really have guilty pleasures because I think that everyone should just live and enjoy themselves. So,
I agree.
I don't know that anything is necessarily good. I mean, I do listen to Dead or Alive, and I have some Dead or Alive records. Spin me right round, baby.
Right round. I guess, record.
Maybe I'll consider that a guilty pleasure.
All right, moving on. The next one. If you could have dinner with one person, living or dead, who would it be?
Oh boy! Wowee! Jesus! I mean, there's so many. There really are so many people that I would want to eat dinner with. Honestly, I would probably want to eat dinner with my grandfather, who I haven't met. He passed away a day before I was born.
Really?
Literally the day before I was born. And I would want to meet him. So I'd want to have dinner with him.
All right. Next question. What fast food restaurant are you going to eat and what are you getting?
None. Does not apply. I don't eat fast food.
Oh.
All right. I'm still looking for that McDonald's #1.
Vic's 0 for 2.
No tattoos, no fast. That shit'll kill you. I have not eaten fast food in years.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we consider like pizza fast food. I a pizza, a slice of pizza, but no chain fast food restaurants.
Gotcha.
So, all right. I'll go with a slice of pizza.
Slice of pizza. Yeah.
What is the recommended pizza in Coney Island?
Well, you got Pizza on the Run, which is around the corner. You had, okay. I know Pizza Titono's, period, end of story.
Okay.
Pizza on the Run is the closest one where we are. But Titono's is that old, the brick. That's the pizza.
Titono's? I got to go there.
Since Grimaldi's closed, they were right across the street.
Yeah, they're in Borough Park now.
Yeah, and I think there might be one in Park Slope or somewhere.
Yeah,
another part of
Dumbo. There's one in Dumbo.
Yeah,
but the line to get in there is for it's like a 5 hour.
So no Spumoni's.
Yeah. L&B. Yeah, that's
L&B's got the best Sicilians.
Me and Vinny that day crushed the whole pie after we left.
Wait, half a pie or a whole pie?
Because
the whole pie is like
a whole Sicilian pie. What is it?
Like the 50 slice pie?
No, not 50s. I don't know. What is it?
The
12?
half slice pie you got.
12?
You got the half pie. The half pie is big.
Now, L&B but that's Bensonhurst. So we're talking strictly Coney Island.
Yeah, Coney Island.
Titono's, you want to go to Bensonhurst, L&B.
Shout out.
Yeah.
All right. To the next one. What is the biggest regret that you can change?
The biggest regret that I can change, similar to guilty pleasures, I don't know that I really have regrets.
Okay. Then
anything can be, no, I'll tell you what it is. I probably would have purchased property in one of the boroughs.
Williamsburg?
Yeah.
There you go.
Williamsburg at the Lower East Side.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So yes. Okay. You know what? I do have a regret, and that's what it is.
All right. So now we got a top off one. Go.
All right. So what is your biggest regret that you could not change? That it's not gonna. There's nothing you can do to change.
Buying property and
Okay, same answer. Got it.
Thank you for gentrification, right?
Well, they got some good bars, man.
Yeah,
Williamsburg's got some really good bars.
They got the Big Buck. Are you? Do you know what
Detroit
Big Buck
is the next one.
You ever heard of the Big Buck machine, Adam?
The big what?
Big Buck machine. It's the machine with the shotguns and you shoot the animals. You see them in some bars in Williamsburg.
No, I see. I really don't go to bars in Williamsburg.
Oh, okay.
We got to hang out.
Not every guy with a beard is a hipster.
Yeah. All right, Jack.
All right. So on to the next one. What is your biggest pet peeve?
Biggest pet peeve, people who incessantly complain.
Ooh,
that's a good one.
If you don't like your situation, get out of your situation.
Exactly.
Make the difference. Don't complain about it.
Listen up, you in the back.
Yeah. Kids growing up now, they're not going to know that.
For those driving to work that are complaining about driving to work.
Yeah.
No, that I do. But I'm saying, they're a person you don't like. Get out of it. Just leave the traffic. We can't control,
Right.
But the things within our life that we can control, that you complain about, change them. Stop complaining.
Oh yeah.
There you go. Yeah, because it's going to drive you nuts.
Yeah.
It's going to drive you fucking nuts.
It drives you nuts and drives everyone else around you nuts.
And no one wants to hear it.
Right.
So before we go, Adam, I mean, if any of the listeners are fans, they want to reach you, get in touch with you, want to see what you do, where are we looking for you? Where are we emailing you? Where can they get you on their next birthday, bar mitzvah, wedding?
Put that plug out.
So here we go. It's Adam Realman on all social media. Instagram and Instagram and Facebook. I'm
The big
also
ones.
on Loud Clown Productions on Instagram, but that's really my record collection. If that's up your alley, then follow it and take a look and see what I post. I don't do Twitter, although I think I have a Twitter account, but I don't do Twitter.
I just deleted mine yesterday.
Yeah, it's a waste.
Yeah.
And I have a website, you can touch base with me on that, adamrealman.com. It hasn't been updated in a while, but you certainly can email, there's a form to fill out where you can touch base with me. And that's the story. That's my story.
All right. Jack, what do you got?
I want to thank you very much, sir, for coming and illuminating our lives. We got a little view into a very amazing part of New York culture, a part of Coney Island culture. It certainly is. It is a landmark, and it's a beautiful place that I wish everyone could see at least once. And people like you are what make it great. So I want to thank you.
Well, that outro was just as good as the intro.
Well, thank you.
It really was.
Like I said, post-COVID, if this podcast thing don't work out, you're going to follow me around and.
That was actually ad-libbed. I didn't even, there was no script for that.
This is all improv, baby, almost.
Just roll with the compliment.
Exactly. Victor.
Adam, I want to thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. I actually do have a quick question. Your shirt, is it Monty Python's?
Nah, this is Devo.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Devo, whip it good. That's Devo.
I do. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I do like it. No, but Adam, it has been an absolute pleasure. It really has.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining.
All right, Adam. Well, thank you for sharing your incredible stories. I mean, you're definitely an inspiration. You definitely got to make someone listen to this, and hopefully they can follow their dreams as well. And I know you didn't get your shot, but eventually, hopefully, when all this is done, we all meet up, we do a shot, we hang out, and we'll see you at the Mermaid.
That
parade.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get Adam out of the studio, and we'll be right back.
Thank you for listening to the UnFollowVic podcast. To show your love and support, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, be sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at UnFollowVic. Cheers.
Wow, that was amazing. We learned a lot. I've only been to Coney Island a handful of times, but now that I know more of the history and more of everything else, that was great. I think I needed that because I'm a Queens kid. We're all Queens guys. You know what I mean? We don't really know anything about Brooklyn that much.
Not a whole lot. I mean, I definitely wish I'd gone there a lot more, especially now that I know what was going on over there. We all knew it was a circus, but I wasn't expecting that much. Like, that's a lot of stuff, a lot of history, a lot of
I mean, Coney Island has a lot of history. The cyclone alone,
and it's crazy, man.
but
I mean,
I don't go there often.
Yeah, like I said, I've only been there twice, and that was when I was between the ages of 12 to 14, and then I went actually less than a month ago. I mean, and it looks like a ghost town, which makes Coney Island to me look more efficient. It looks awesome. But I'm pretty sure with millions of people on the beach, on the boardwalk, doing shots, doing drinks, you know, you got your
I can't wait.
from the sideshow trying to get you in, people on, you know, it's amazing.
I just want to hit up Nathan's and that pizza spot.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I want to go see fucking my boy George Chestnut over there swallow some Nathan hot dogs on 4th of July. I hope they don't take that away. By the way, I emailed you twice, you prick. Fucking right back. At least tell me to go fuck myself. Shit.
Yeah, it's a good way to get him.
Yeah.
Hey, prick, I emailed you. You never answered.
If he hasn't emailed me back now, it's fine. And if he does, then I guess he wants to be on the show. Fucking guy eats for a living. Come on the show 15, 20 minutes. Come on.
Do it.
Just do it. All right. Get out of here. Exactly. All right, boys. Any last words?
No, thank you to the listeners. I hope you guys are enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, season 2 has a different vibe, different whole thing.
We need a sound effect.
Huh?
I think that's what I think season 2 needs a sound effect.
What do you mean?
You gotta just put in a quick plug and a sound effect right quick.
Oh yeah, I have that all planning out. I'm gonna be working on that Monday. I have a friend at work. She's gonna be doing all our sound effect plugs, beginning, middle, end. It's gonna be good. Trust me, production is getting good. Like I said, we don't have millions in dollars, but we're making it work with what we got. All right. So yeah, that's it. So thank you for listening. This is the UnFollowVic podcast. And Jack, anything?
Nah, man, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, anywhere you can find podcasts. You'll see our name, UnFollowVic.
There you go. Victor, how's that fucking Big Mac? Did you get?
It's gone. It's gone.
That's the way Big
I
Mac
got 2 more
should be.
cheeseburgers already.
Oh man, you're making me fiend for McDonald's. Look at that. And he's got another burger to go. All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed listening. Please subscribe, follow, and all that bullshit. Fucking support. I mean, listen, it's just a like. That's all we're looking for. We're not looking for money.
It's free. Press the button.
Exactly. All right. UnFollowVic Season 2. Peace.
The UnFollowVic podcast is available on Spotify, YouTube, and wherever podcasts are heard. Don't forget to press like and subscribe for more of your favorite UnFollowVic episodes.